is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Hope you all having a good day today. And today we're going to talk about the 3-year ownership experience with my MK7 GTI and talk about all the major stuff you guys want to know and how this car is going to be a forever car for me. So if you're not a subscriber to the channel, welcome. Please subscribe. We got a lot of cool stuff coming for this year for this car, and lots of other stuff. You guys want to see the full build on this car, I have a full playlist in the channel playlist sections, whatever. The build list for this car is in the description, so if you want to see every part that's on this car currently, everything is there down to cosmetics and performance. So plenty of stuff to find there if you want to follow along with this build and just use some of the stuff you might see here in other videos. So yeah, we're going to start off right away with reliability. I think that is something that is just super important to cover with this car especially, and German cars in general, because they just have such a bad rep, and I think it's unjustly so. So I've owned this car for 3 years, bought it with 28,000 miles on it back in 2022, $24,000 car, and it now has 53,800 miles. It just rolled over it on the way home from the car wash you guys saw me drive to at the beginning of the video. And it's been pretty bulletproof, actually, surprisingly, probably to most people. I've owned this car for 3 years, put over double the mileage, I think. And my math's not mathing really well. But, this thing has just been a treat to me, and it's been just absolutely bulletproof. It doesn't burn oil, it doesn't leak oil. Obviously, the main MK7 Achilles heel has kind of started to show its cards a little bit. This car does lose coolant. It has ever since the day I got it. I just top it every once in a while, like once every 3 or 4 months, and it's fine. It's a pretty well-known MK7 fault point. The water pumps in these cars are known to fail and leak and all that good stuff. But this one has luckily not failed the entire time I've had it. So yeah, keep that in mind, but whatever. The key to reliability with this car and any German car in general is to just keep up with your dang maintenance. I'm sick and tired of seeing people buy E92 335i's and never change the oil on them, and then all of a sudden, oh, the N54 is garbage, oh, these things suck. Or buying a MK5 and doing the same thing, like, oh, my MK5 blew up, oh, when was the oil change? Oh, 10,000 miles. Or when was your timing change due? Oh, the car had 210,000 miles. Then their engines blow up because they don't take care of them. If you have a well-known fault point, like with the MK6's in the MK5's case, timing chains, you take good care of it. You just take care of it. You get it done at the interval. You don't change your oil every 10,000 miles. In fact, I change oil in this car about every 4,000 to 5,000 miles, max. I never let it go over 5,000 miles unless I have to, like if there's just some sort of thing stopping me from doing it. I've only run liquid moly and Motul outside of the very first oil change after I got this car. I ran Castrol very briefly after I got this car, and that was the one time it ever burned oil, was when it ran Castrol, ironically enough. So when I switched to liquid moly and Motul, it never happened again. It has never leaked a drop over the last few years, and the car's just been perfectly fine on that front. The only major issue I've ever had with this car, and I say major loosely because it really isn't anything major at all, is the PCV valve failed around the time I did my hybrid turbo setup. This car, if you guys don't know, has a Mamba GTX 37R turbo on it. It's a hybrid turbo, makes right around 400 wheel, tuned by EQT on 93. Super conservative tune, super conservative numbers. I know this car is well capable of close to 600 with just port injection and ethanol on this setup. And of course, obviously the map sensors to support it. Close to 600, I think 550 probably is what this car would make maximum on this turbo. But it's just, I went for a reliable setup, and that's why I did that. But anyway, that's another video if you guys want to see that. I've done a video on this before on the whole talking about the turbo and stuff. I did that just a few months ago. Yeah, the PCV valve failed right around that time though, and there's multiple routes you can go now. At the time I did that, this kit didn't exist yet when I replaced PCV valve last time, but you can now do the Mark 8 retrofit, which is probably by far the best way to go with these cars, is just retrofit the Mark 8 PCV in. The valve plate itself bolts right up. It's just getting the Venturi hoses for the Venturi effect that actually helps these cars out so much. You have to have the 034 turbo muffler delete installed, and then have the vacuum lines and the hoses and all that stuff hooked up for it. And if you buy the kit on Euro Tuning, it's like $300, but it comes with everything you'll need, including the turbo muffler delete. So highly recommend doing that if you have one of these cars. Honestly, should be one of the first things you do, even if your PCV valve isn't bad. Just have that on standby and ready to go, because it will go bad. There's something you cannot avoid. No amount of maintenance will ever save the PCV from failure. It's a well-known MK7 issue, and it's really something you cannot avoid, no matter how good care you take of the car. But other than that, just do your oil changes on time, change your, check your coolant, keep up with it. If the water pump starts to fail, take it immediately to the dealership, get them covered in their class action lawsuit, fight them to death if you have to. I mean, they're going to fight back, obviously. Dealerships are dealerships, but, just take good care of it, and it takes good care of you. That's the biggest thing I can say. Do transmission services at the right intervals. If you have a 6-speed DSG car, 40,000 miles. If you have a 7-speed, the going talk has been 80,000, but I'm the kind of guy that want to get it done sooner rather than later. I'd say about 60,000. That would be the sweet spot where we'll kind of compromise a little bit on there, but just take good care of your car, and it'll take good care of you. And that goes for any car especially, but German cars get such a bad rep, and I swear, if you just take good care of them, they will last you a lifetime, because they're just that reliable when you take good care of them, especially these newer ones like this car, like the Mark 8, like the new B58 stuff's been super good. Like, German cars have come a long way, and I think this is the first generation of Volkswagen Golf where they finally nailed almost everything. Like, obviously they still have their Achilles heels, but they're definitely few and far between, unlike the previous 2 generations, which had, a lot more serious issues. I mean, a water pump's annoying, but it's not like, as long as you don't overheat it and blow the thing up, it's not going to kill the engine. PCV the same way. It's not going to kill the engine. You'll just get some blow by, lose some oil, and probably have a mild boost leak. So just take good care of it, and it'll take good care of you. So let's talk about the driving experience. I'm going to try not to harp on this forever, but I do want to talk about that briefly, because we're already at 6 minutes in this, and I'm trying not to be too long-winded with you guys today. But let's talk about the driving experience briefly. So I have done multiple trips with this car, 3-hour trips typically, and I will say, in terms of the just general road trip comfort, it's fantastic. The car is just perfectly comfortable. Even on these Bilstein coilovers I have the B16 kit with a stiffer sway bar in the back, and even with all that stuff, this car is surprisingly comfortable on road trips. I keep the rear dampers on the 6th setting and the front dampers on the 5th setting out of 10, and it gave this car pretty much a pretty neutral driving experience in the Dragon and stuff like that, and autocross, which I did recently in this car for the first time. And yeah, if you guys watch that video, I actually managed to slide the rear out, which was an interesting experience considering it's a front-wheel drive car. But if you know how to drive well, you'll know how to fight it. You just kind of put some extra, throttle in it, and it'll obviously catch itself because it's front-wheel drive, obviously. But it's super comfortable though. And that's why I leave it on those settings. Like, everyone's like, why don't you turn them up to 9 or 10 when you go to the Dragon or the track? And I'm just like, I like it how it is. It's still plenty of stiff. It's still got plenty of control in it. It doesn't body roll a ton. Like, it's super just planted as it is. So if you're getting one of these and you're planning on doing more than just going to car shows with it, put some dang coilovers on it, because it will be fantastic, especially if you get quality ones. Like, you get KWs, you get H&R, you get Bilstein, you get Olin's, all those brands. Like, they'll take good care of you with these things. They're great. The car had a little bit of drone. This is a Borla S-type exhaust on it, and it used to not have a resonator in it, and it was super loud, super raspy, and pretty drony. But when I put a Vibrant Ultra Quiet in there, it cleaned that up, and now the car is fantastic on that front. It's super drivable on long road trips. And yeah, so let's talk about the more performance side of it. The main thing to know that I had issues with, and part of this can probably be attributed to the driver mod, the stock brake fluid sucks. I overheated the brakes on my second trip ever to the Dragon. My first one I got a little hot, but my second one I melted the brakes pretty bad. And yeah, definitely learned my lesson on that front. Part of that's probably driver mod, because I have a bit of a heavy braking foot. I'm not gonna lie, that's something that I developed at a young age when I was on the sim as a kid, and it's just something I've had a really hard time shaking. It's a very difficult habit for me to shake, but I have a pretty heavy braking foot, and I will say I've improved, but of course I didn't start improving until after I put RBF 660 brake fluid in this car, and that was a must do for me with my driving style. And now the car is perfectly fine. I took it up to Wookiees in the Woods and had no issues with it. I've done autocross with it now. I mean, it was a little spongy at first because they were cold, but after the brakes warmed up, thing was perfectly fine. Do wish I had a little bit more braking power. Like I said, this is a non-performance pack car, so I don't have the better stock brakes, but it is what it is. I can upgrade that myself. That's no harm, no foul. When you have a good suspension setup like I do, the car is extremely planted. Like I said, you do have a tendency to slide the rear out sometimes, but on certain very cold tracks. But all in all, this thing is set up really well. I've got Pilot Sport 4S's all the way around. They are old. They're going on 3 years old, so it might be getting about time to switch it up. But these tires, this suspension setup has been great to me. The car is just planted and all that stuff. So that is kind of a synopsis of the driving experience. If you guys want to learn more about the driving experience with this car on my channel, like I said, that playlist is the best place to go, because I've done, all the videos I have of going to the Dragon and going to the track and all that stuff with this car, the autocross track, I should say, are all there, and you guys can see it all yourself. and, you know, see the driving experience from my actual point of view in the moment. So all in all, it's a fantastic car to drive and own, and it's just been great. So let's talk about why this is gonna be a forever car for me, because I've gotten plenty of comments over the years, not typically on here and not typically on social media, but from just people in general being like, why don't you just take this car, trade it in for a Mark 8 R, Mark 8 Golf R, because you know you can afford it, because I mean, I do make okay money for my age. And you know, oh, you can afford a Golf R, why not do it? You can afford an RS3, why not do it? You can afford effectively a G87 M2, why don't you do it? And the reason for that is because I love this car that much, and I don't feel like it's worth it for me to get rid of it. It's a good car to have around. It gets 30 something miles to the gallon most of the time. It makes 400 wheel horsepower, lights up the front tires anytime I ask it to. It's super quick around an autocross course if I had a bit more driver mod. And, you know, I just enjoy it. It's just a fun car to have. Sure, if it were manual, it'd be a little bit more fun, but that's whatever. I couldn't drive stick at the time I bought the car, so had to make do with the DSG. And even that difference that would make this thing even better to me isn't worth getting rid of it, because a lot of people at that point are like, why don't you just trade it in on a manual Mark 7? Don't want to. I like this car too much. I've enjoyed it. I've had so much fun with it. The car's been absolutely just perfect to me. And unless you pry it away from my cold dead hands, this car's not going anywhere. This car will forever be a staple of this channel. It will forever be in the garage. And I know I said the same thing years ago. Trust me, a lot of you guys who watched me back in like 2016 or something like that, like, didn't you say the same thing about your truck? Yeah, but that one I had a good reason to get rid of it, because it kept breaking and catching on fire. This, thankfully, has not done either of those. So I'm going to keep this car for the rest of my life, and I'm going to take the best care of it and keep it here. And, you know, if I ever do decide to have kids, this will be something that they will get to experience. I'm not letting them keep it though. This will be forever my car. My kids ain't getting this thing, not happening. But anyway, guys, that is why it's going to be a forever car for me. It's just that good. I love it too much. And there's just nothing on the market now that is what I consider a good enough financial decision and a good enough upgrade to take me away from this car. So yeah, all in all, I just love this thing to death. And you know, if I get another car in the future, if I get another big boy car, if I get an RS3, if I buy a G87, if I get a G80, if I go, you know, any other route, if I get a B10 RS5 or whatever, this car will stay. This car will stay, and I will make it work. But I probably won't do that, because that's not good for financial decisions. I ain't got money like that. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This has just been a really just fun 3 years of ownership, and I hope you guys, you know, want to subscribe and are already subscribed and want to hang around for the ride, because we've still got plenty of fun videos to make with this car over the next, you know, 2025 and the years beyond, because like I said, this car will never leave the garage unless I have to give it away or it gets taken from me. So anyway, guys, see you guys later. Hope you have a great day, and I will see you guys next time. Have an awesome day.